Hi there, welcome back. I hope you've taken some time to reflect over this incredible life transforming story. Now, like I promised, I'm going to unpack that story in light with divine guidance, and I'm going to hone in my focus on the man Jesus himself so that in observing him, following him at work, we can, as student of the understanding of divine guidance, see how Jesus himself understood divine guidance. But first, let me use this video to have a general observation of the text and the event, in order that we can have around you, if you imagine, around you a descriptive imagination, a descriptive illustration, if you will, or painting of this event all around you. All right. The first is Jesus is in a boat and is obviously intentionally, if you will, crossing over to this region. Now, historically, as a Jew, Jesus was not supposed to head into this direction. And some clues, if you will, of the event of the scriptures are very critical or crucial in helping us understand what it is that is happening and that is not being said. We call that, in other words, what is being said that is not being said. Now, don't worry about that. I will unpack it as we go along. And mind you, as a student of the text myself, so what is being said that is not being said here, number one, is that Jesus has stepped out of the boat. However, the disciples have not. Okay, that will give you, first, an idea of how unacceptable the actions of Jesus are beginning to disturb the minds of the disciples themselves. Now, hold that thought right there. Go back to the story itself. Go into the event. Walk with me, and let's meet the owners of the pig, or the shepherds of the pigs. Now, join them on a fast speed run into the country or the community. Good. Now, watch the whole city joining them, running back to where Jesus is standing or sitting. We don't know. Come with them. Hear the sound of the community. Hear the panic of the shepherd boys. Now, if you will, try to pinpoint the owners of the pigs. Perhaps a statue in the community. Good. Join the crowd, see the dust as they run, and hurry up in bewilderment to where Jesus is. Pause. Observe their shock at the sight of the pigs drowned in the lake as they watch at a distance. See their unbelievable shock-ridden faces as they see the demon-possessed man who has been in chains and shackles sitting at the feet of Jesus. Good. Now, observe their reaction. Listen to their response. See the dread on their faces, and follow with me here as we hear them ask Jesus to leave their region. Good. Now stop. Come back with me. Well, this is important that we take a fast, almost like a fast pace, supersonic observation through the event, is that it enables us to put the clues of what the Bible has presented us with through the prisms of our human mind and eyes to observe the text and uncover what is being said that has not been said. For example, we can then separate the community crowd from the owners of the pigs, knowing that even if they had to ask Jesus to leave, their attitude, their rage might not be in the same manner or tone of voice as the rest of the community, because their motives might be slightly different. So, asking Jesus to leave this side of the region and the tabooic and defiling action of Jesus stepping out of that boat into the land can enable us to see the tension of cultural disdain about this region. You can then begin to see that the actions of Jesus, perhaps, if you will, were not an accident, but rather intentional. Thus, one will bet the question, did Jesus come here deliberately just to set this man free? All right. Now, as we observe this event, now Jesus met the man, and obviously there's a transaction that happened in terms of power and authority here. Now, if we go to the book of Mark, we uncover more added details where Mark says he rushed towards Jesus and then fell down at his feet. So he must have rushed to confront Jesus, one might suppose, and there's a confrontation of power, and he dropped down. Now, what is being said that is not being said here, another clue, for Jesus had commanded the spirit to leave the man, but it is nowhere written at what point did Jesus command the spirit to leave. We are only aware when Jesus asked of the name. So there is an element of a pre-engagement. Therefore, the text of Mark's gospel, enable us to catch up with that by saying he rushed or he ran to meet Jesus. In this case, Jesus used a natural self-protection, obviously commanding the evil spirit that was controlling the man to come out. Thus, the confrontation of power, and the man fell at his feet. At this point, Jesus could have a normal conversation. Thus, the question, what is your name? All right, so as we observe this, we notice that Jesus is crossing into an unacceptable region in his time and culture. 2, he is deliberately heading towards the direction or making himself a target to a man who is considered a danger in the entire region. 3, the man confronted Jesus, and Jesus subdued him. For we are told no one was able or strong enough to subdue him. Of course, until Jesus came to the scene. Now, that is found in the text of Mark's gospel. All of this put Jesus at odds, except he was able to subdue the man. Third and lastly, the people in the region commanded Jesus to leave at the scene or at the site of the healing of this man. This sum up together give Jesus no advantages, no privileges, but instead several questions to ponder. But let's not go there yet. Not yet. We'll get there. Now, as we observe this in progression, we can notice that the man in question is being confronted for the first time at a place of being subdued. But watch what Jesus does to him. Instead, he's been chained and in shackle, of course, of which we are told that he will snap them out of his ears and break the shackles. He's been subdued for the first time in his life with no chains and no shackles. And instead of being dragged out of the cities, instead of being dragged out of the countryside to the tomb site where it has become now his home, Jesus was interested in knowing him. Hence the question, what is your name? Friends, pressure, anxiety, and panic, sometimes because of what you and I go through, maybe because of what you're going through at this moment as you listen to me, can sometimes take your attention from the awareness of who you are. Secondly, pressure, anxiety have the habit of replacing your identity with what people think about you, which in turn add to the odds of your anxiety. And lastly, tension, anxiety, hurts have the tendency of making you feel unaccepted, devalued, and less a human as others. These three elements are crucial in understanding divine guidance. Unacceptability, that is, in other words, rejection. Devalued, that is, less a human in comparison with others. And the third element, which is very crucial, is the element of people's opinion about your identity. I don't know where you are right now as you're listening to this. I don't know what you're going through. But as you observe the event of this story, the next video, we're going to hone into the man Jesus. And then I will take a look at the life of this man who was not acceptable, was rejected, was devalued, and whose identity was culturally replaced by the events that surrounded him. Is that how you view yourself now? If that's what's going on in your heart and mind, I have good news for you. You don't have to be those things. you can believe that you are made in the image and likeness of God. Take a deep breath. What is your name? I'd like you to answer this question. Try that. Say to yourself, I am not who people say I am. Say this again. My name is Jackson. Now, that won't be your name, right? Say that to yourself. And if you're up to it, try saying, I am not my situation. And my situation is not me. And finally, to wrap up this overview of the context that we are observing. When the man was healed in his right mind, he sat at the feet of Jesus. And on seeing the rejection of Jesus, he pleaded to go with Jesus, perhaps frightened of the outcome that might be of him after the event that he just witnessed. Excuse me. Or perhaps struggling and wrestling with the idea of, who am I now? For he has been known by his circumstances, and now for the first time in his life, he's actually free. Thus, he has to go with Jesus. Can I go with you, Jesus? Can I just hang out around you? I don't know who I am. Does that sound familiar? Most believers in Christ Jesus. Now, if you are like most, when you are hit hard by your circumstances and challenges, there is this inexplicable yearning deep down in your heart that always beats the question, can I just draw closer to you, Lord? I want more of you. I don't understand myself. Bring me closer to you. Within this is an incredible strength. That is to say, it brings us closer to God, and it creates an awareness of His presence and our lack and longing for more. But the other side of this coin is as equally true, and that is we subconsciously believe we have nothing to offer. Therefore, come closer to me, Jesus, or allow me hang out with you so people won't have to see me, they just see you. Now, how can this be negative? We'll find out as we observe Jesus' response. Notice what Jesus said to the man. No. Now that's a little bit odd, isn't it? You would think Jesus shouldn't hinder people, or if you will, stop people from coming close. But Jesus said, no, you don't need to come close. You've been too close. Now, go home, go change, and find out what you have already. Now join me in the next video as we look at Jesus.